It had been 10 long years since I last heard a kind word from my family. A decade filled with echoing silence from the people I once called my own. It started gradually: missed calls, ignored messages, unreturned invitations. At first, I told myself they were busy. Life had pulled us all in different directions, I thought. But deep down, I knew it wasn't just time or distance. I could feel it in their silence. I wasn't just forgotten, I was deliberately left out. Rejected. Cast aside like I'd done something unforgivable. But I hadn't. All I ever did was follow a different path. I didn't take the traditional job, didn't attend the family reunions they organized without me. And I certainly didn't become what they expected. I had dreams. Big ones. And when I chased them, instead of support, I got scorn. While they gossiped and gathered, they made sure my absence was permanent. My cousins, once my closest friends, now strangers with blank expressions. My aunts and uncles, with their judgmental glances, refused to ask how I was. Even my parents, yes, my own parents, began introducing me as the one who's always too busy. I heard from an old neighbor that my name came up like an inconvenience, an embarrassment. I was cut out of family photos, uninvited from weddings, removed from group chats, and excluded from birthdays. 10 years passed like that. Birthdays I spent alone. Holidays I spent working. No one knew where I was or what I had become. And they didn't care to ask. What they didn't know was that those 10 years weren't wasted. While they dismissed me, I was building something they couldn't even imagine. It started with an idea, a single app that solved a problem I once struggled with in my early 20s. The rejection from my own blood fueled me. Every ignored message gave me more time to focus. Every lonely holiday became a hackathon. I failed again, and failed harder. But I never stopped. I pitched my idea to 20 investors and got turned down 20 times. But the 21st investor saw something, and that small investment led to a product. Then a launch. Then traction. Within 3 years, my app had millions of users. 5 years in, I had sold it for more money than anyone in my family could comprehend. And I wasn't done. I reinvested. I studied markets. I surrounded myself with brilliant people. I became a silent investor in startups, doubled my wealth in stocks, and dabbled in real estate. By the 9th year, I was managing my own investment firm. I bought land, lots of it. And I began designing something I used to sketch in a notebook. When I was young, a mansion that overlooked the cliffs, surrounded by silence and elegance. A place that didn't just scream wealth, it whispered power. 10 bedrooms, a marble staircase that wrapped around a chandelier worth more than my cousin's entire annual salary. And a view that stretched over the ocean like a painting. Everything automated. Everything pristine. It wasn't about showing off, it was about reclaiming control. Creating a sanctuary. And the day it was complete, I knew exactly what I was going to do. The invitation was subtle. Gold embossed envelopes with elegant calligraphy. I made sure it didn't sound desperate or attention-seeking. Just an exclusive family reunion at my new home. I didn't sign the cards with my full name. Just the initials they used to call me when I was a kid. Most of them probably assumed it was one of their wealthy in-laws or maybe someone they forgot about. The address wasn't listed. On Google Maps, it was a private estate on a cliffside, requiring a driver and a code just to get past the gates. I watched them arrive one by one, confused and glancing around nervously. Some wore designer dresses. Others brought gifts, trying to impress their mysterious host. My cousins whispered to each other, wondering aloud if this was some setup for a reality show. My uncle adjusted his tie and tried to act like he belonged. My parents looked worried. My mother clutched her purse, and my father kept checking his phone as if he'd made a mistake coming. And then I walked out, wearing nothing flashy, just confidence and calm. I saw their faces freeze. It was like a collective moment of disbelief. They blinked, shifted uncomfortably, glanced at each other. My cousin gasped. My aunt almost dropped her champagne. My father's mouth opened slightly, no words, just breath, and my mother. She looked away, as if looking at me was too painful, or too humbling. I smiled, wide and warm, and said, "Welcome to my home." Silence. Heavy, awkward, loaded silence. I didn't rush to explain anything. I led them inside. The hallway alone had them speechless. Golden inlay, velvet walls, custom artwork I'd commissioned from global artists. I gave them the tour like they were strangers at an open house. They followed, some still whispering, others just nodding. At what they couldn't process, the library made them stop. So did the indoor pool with underwater speakers. I watched their faces transform with each room: confusion, jealousy, awe, and finally, regret. When we reached the dining area, a long oak table beneath a massive crystal light structure, I finally spoke more than 3 words. I told them about the past 10 years. Not with anger, not with tears, just facts. How I had been alone, how they had forgotten me, and how I had built this life with no help from any of them. I told them how every ignored birthday message added fuel to the fire, how I used their silence as my motivation. Some of them tried to apologize, others tried to shift blame. We didn't know, you should have reached out, it wasn't personal. But I didn't let it slide. I told them, you knew exactly what you were doing. And now, so do I. That's when I revealed the biggest twist of the evening. This wasn't just a family reunion. It was an inheritance reveal. And no, I wasn't dying. I had created a legacy fund. Something that would carry my name for generations. And not everyone in that room would be a part of it. Gasps filled the room. My uncle leaned forward, trying to smile. My cousin with the loudest mouth suddenly looked meek. I told them I had written their names down years ago, not for gifts, but for exclusion. I had kept records of everything: who ignored my texts, who mocked my dreams, who told others I'd never make it. I didn't do it out of pettiness, I did it for clarity. Because when you build something that big, you don't want to carry dead weight. I watched their smiles falter, their laughter fade. My aunt, who once told people I was lost, asked softly if there was still a chance to be involved. I told her, that door closed a long time ago. Then I pulled out the folders. Inside each was a personalized letter, not of love or forgiveness, but of truth. What they meant to me, what they didn't do, how they made me feel invisible. Each person read their letter silently. Some cried. Some didn't finish. A few left early, unable to face what they had become in my absence. And then there were the few who had stayed kind. A cousin who always responded to my messages even if no one else did. An aunt who sent me a holiday card each year. They didn't expect anything, but they were the ones I embraced. I gifted them rooms in my guest wing, shares in my fund, a future alongside me, because they never needed a mansion to treat me like family. The next morning, the news had spread across our extended family. Group chats exploded. Phone calls came in nonstop. I didn't pick up. I let the silence do what it had done for me all these years, speak louder than any apology. Some tried to visit again. I instructed security to politely turn them away. The truth was, the mansion wasn't a revenge tool. It was a mirror. It showed them who they were and what they lost. I wasn't the black sheep. I was the phoenix. And my rise didn't need their validation. I began hosting events at my home, charity galas, mentorship circles, tech seminars. The very same people who once rolled their eyes at my ambition now waited months for an invitation to my dinners. I never forgot who was there for me and who vanished when things got hard. My mansion wasn't just my home, it was my boundary. And it stood tall and proud, like I had learned to. Every hallway echoed, not with their laughter, but with my determination. Every corner held a memory of triumph. I built this place with my hands, my grit, my tears. And no amount of fake smiles could earn someone a second chance to hurt me again. Sometimes I walk through the halls at night, barefoot and quiet, remembering the boy who used to cry alone on birthdays. I leave one room empty, no furniture, just a journal and a single chair where I write letters to my past self. Letters filled with encouragement, reminding him that isolation is not failure, and that being ignored is sometimes a gift. Because in that silence, I found myself. In that emptiness, I built everything. I occasionally receive wedding invitations from family members now sent with hope, not sincerity. I politely decline. I send a generous gift, but never my presence. They lost that privilege. My parents try the hardest. They send long emails, messages, sometimes just photos from the past. I respond with kindness but never warmth. They had their chance to love me out loud. They chose silence. And now they must live with it. My mansion isn't just a monument to wealth. It's a testament to endurance, to self-belief, and to what happens when you stop chasing those who never looked back. I don't gloat. I just live, fully, proudly, independently. If there's anything I've learned, it's that family isn't who you're born to, it's who stands by you when no one else will. I found that in strangers, in colleagues, in mentors. And I built my own circle. one rooted in loyalty and love, not blood and obligation. My story isn't about revenge, it's about rebirth. My family ignored me for 10 years, assuming I'd disappear. Instead, I created something unforgettable. And when they stood in my foyer, speechless and small, I realized they never really knew me. They only knew who they wanted me to be. And I'm glad I disappointed them. Because if I hadn't, I would have become just another silent face in their echo chamber of approval. Instead, I became something else entirely, someone I'm proud of. Someone powerful. Someone free.